What's up, y'all? This is your boy Jada Bar bringing y'all another video, man. And honestly, in this video right here, it's gonna be another reaction video. I did one last week. I actually fixed the audio in this one, so the audio shouldn't be as bad. It should be pretty clear, so you can hear everything that's going on, and also so you can hear my commentary. But in this video, I'm actually gonna be reacting to a CNBC video. They did a take on where thousands of tech workers went after the mass layoffs earlier in this year and also back in 2022. Some of the big tech giants like Amazon, I want to say Google. So like Amazon, Google. There was another big tech place that was laying people off. I can't remember the name of them exactly, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna go over it in the video. But just as of right now, yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and react to the video and see what they're talking about, and I'm gonna give my commentary on it, my thoughts about it, and yeah. But before we do that, I want to ask that you guys please subscribe to the channel and also like the video. And yeah, man, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. We'll also hit that notification bell too, also. So yeah. All right, let's get into it.
The tech sector shed more than 386,000 jobs in 2022 and the first half of 2023, and that number is climbing.
Google today joined a growing list of tech giants scaling back, adding to the tens of thousands of workers in the industry who find themselves unemployed.
It is Amazon doing another round of layoffs.
Mark Zuckerberg's year of efficiency back in focus this morning after another round of sweeping layoffs and job cuts.
The email that was sent out in the morning to...
So basically what I'm getting at from them, from a business standpoint of them basically laying off workers or clearing out their workforce, is basically a way for them to save money so that they can then take that money that they would have been paying to employees. They can then take that money and then reimburse it back into their company. Because I have heard about like Meta and Google trying to like basically take advantage of AI software or like AI, because that's the new hot thing right now that's really been funneling in investors. So and normally, and also too, during like the state of the economy is in, with inflation being high and everything, generally what these big businesses and Fortune 500 companies do, or these big companies do, generally what they do is they start, the first way they start cutting costs is laying people off. So you know, they just started clearing out their workforce. And honestly, I've heard about Google and Meta, Nvidia, they're like trying to basically take advantage of like this quote unquote AI boom right now. So in my opinion, from my business perspective of say like following the money, you know, that's partly why they went ahead and like laid off these people. And actually, it sounds like they're getting into like how they laid these people.
To everyone at the company, basically saying unfortunately your role is impacted, and that's how. To everyone
Layoffs and job cuts.
The email that was sent out in the morning to everyone at the company, basically saying unfortunately your role is impacted, and that's how I found out. And
that's fucked up. Ain't gonna lie to y'all, that's messed up. That's a hell of a way to find out that you just been fired from your job. They just send you an email like, just imagine like you clock out of work one evening, you head home, you go to sleep, do your routine, blah blah blah. Then you wake up in the morning and you see that you got an email from your job saying, hey, unfortunately your position has been impacted by or whatever economic factors or blah blah blah, or just basically like we basically firing you, so don't even show up to work today. That's a hell of a way to get fired, man. That's cold.
And then they pretty much shut everything off at the end of the day.
I was on the committee that
not only do I'm talking about, man, they fire you, they get rid of everything, they just delete you out the system, man. That was crazy.
was hiring new college grads. It was like thousands and thousands of applications for maybe like 10 or 15 spots. But
I need y'all to listen to this real quick, because he just said something that just absolutely blew my mind.
Off at the end of the day.
I was on the committee that was hiring new college grads. It was like thousands and thousands of applications for maybe like 10 or 15 spots.
He just said, whew. This is how competitive these job markets are. This guy right here, I didn't see his name, but apparently he was on the hiring committee of the company that he was working for, the tech company he was working for. and he said he said he was a part of the division that hired college grads. He just said that like he was going through thousands of thousands of applications were coming in, but yet they can only fill in 10 to 15 spots. Think about it, for 10 spots, right? You got for 10 spots, you got more than 100 times the demand for that said job. So that means for every one job, there's like 10 people. No. For every one job, for every one job that they have, there's like 100 people competing for that one job. That is super competitive, man. That's wow.
But I thought, if we're still hiring new college grads, clearly the company is fine. Why would we hire, new grads if the company were going to do layoffs?
Known for its boom and bust cycles, tech has seen its fair share of layoffs in recent decades. More recently,
hey man, if there's one thing I've learned about markets, history repeats itself. Boom and bust cycles, the tech industry. Hey. Also, I have heard too with these companies, they're trying to take advantage of AI to where they won't have to rely on people, or not have to go through hiring people, but they can just have computer software do the jobs that people are doing already. So then that way they can save money, and then also like exponentially, grow their returns.
the industry has faced headwinds.
Man, it's really just wow, man. Like eventually going to schools just ain't gonna be enough, man. You gotta be able to do other things too, man.
Wins related to the crypto crash and the failure of the Silicon Valley Bank.
Job postings for software development positions, they're down closer to 60% year over year. And they are actually below their pre-pandemic levels. So we've seen a much starker pullback in hiring for software development, which is a lot of tech jobs.
But while layoffs have taxed retrenched workers, a booming artificial intelligence market is giving the industry a renewed sense of optimism.
I have been in San Francisco for almost 12 years now, and I have never felt this kind of energy. And I was here for the mobile boom, right? I worked at Uber, which I think was the one company representing that mobile explosion. And I can tell you it was nothing like this. Every cafe, every restaurant, every conversation that you overhear in the street, half of the time it's ChatGPT, it's AI, it's the latest company that is being funded. It's accelerating.
Generative AI startup deals announced or finalized in the first quarter of 2023 totaled more than $12 billion, compared with about $4.5 billion invested in the space in 2022.
Woo! That's like a $8 billion increase in the span of like a year. Hey man, like what they say in the investing world, man, follow the money. You know what I mean? Like, as the dude just said earlier, the dude that was up with the glasses, that he said earlier, like, he's like, man, a year ago, people weren't even talking about it like all this, but now it's like everywhere you go, you're hearing about AI, you're hearing about tech, you're hearing about this new company that just got funded and started up. That just goes to show you, man, like, marketing is just something else, man. Like, just marketing and getting the word out there, just like how fast all of this has spread in the span of a year, and how much money has been funneling into this industry, into this like AI industry, as a result of that mass spreading or that mass adoption, of the opportunity of getting in here and making big in something that's like new here, right? And that's normally what happens when you have something new that comes along. Like a lot of people get funneled into it, and then eventually it gets to a point where it becomes oversaturated, or where the industry or market becomes oversaturated, and then the people that come in, that funnel in late, end up getting the short end of the stick because they got in late. Meanwhile, the people that mainly benefit are the ones that were able to get in at the very beginning. right at the beginning of the boom. You know, you have those people that come in at the middle. They make some gains. You know what I'm saying, like that. They get a little bit of piece of the pie. But then the people that come in at the very end of, like, you know, the boom, or at least in the middle, but the people that come in at the very end of the boom, they normally get the short end of the stick. It happens in every industry.
Amazon, Alphabet, and Microsoft have also made massive investments.
Amazon invested $100 million in generative AI. These tech companies, man, they're really trying to take advantage of this. And like I said, I've heard about these companies trying to use AI as a way to, like, offset or just completely say eradicate the workforce of people, right? Because a machine can work 24 hours a day as long as it's transmitting or, like, processing the information. Us as people, we gotta get sleep. We gotta rest. We can't run like a computer can. So honestly, man, as far as tech goes, tech might not be the way to go no more, unless you get certified with a certain degree working in tech. I'm not sure, like, what all the tech degrees are. You know what I mean, like that, or all the engineering degrees are. But if you're not really trying to, like, specialize in something in the industry outside of just, like, you know, creating programs or maintaining them, I don't know, man. It's really finna shake up. It's really finna change a lot.
Amazon, Alphabet, and Microsoft have also made massive investments. The U.S. tech industry accounts for 10% of the nation's GDP. It employs roughly 12 million people who work in more than 500,000 companies. Those businesses are
12 million people, but only 580,000 companies that employ these 12 million people.
Concentrated in a handful of coastal areas, including San Jose,
California,
Washington, D.C., San Francisco, Boston, and New York City.
Boston and New York.
So how have layoffs impacted tech workers? And what will the AI boom mean for their future?
They're going to get a short end of the stick. They're going to have to specialize in something else within the industry.
The pandemic and ensuing lockdowns brought the U.S. economy into a tailspin in March 2020, forcing businesses to shut their doors. By May, 23 million Americans lost their jobs.
Sheesh.
The unemployment rate surged to 14.7%, the highest since the Great Depression.
Sheesh.
But tech companies faced a different climate. Remote work and cloud computing meant more people were pivoting towards online services, boosting revenue.
Okay, because then instead of having people in the building, because, you know, they have to pay rent in the building, and then also too they have to pay for the energy consumption that's used in the building. But with having people at home, you then reduce those costs of having people in the building, and then reduce that energy consumption cost in that building. So having people that work from home or just working from online benefited these companies because they boosted their revenue, because they're it basically allowed for them to or at least from what I'm getting here, it allowed for them to basically reduce their operating costs, mainly in the energy, mainly with the energy consumption being used in the building that they will have the workers come to. But having them work at home, now, you know, they don't really have to, they're not consuming as much energy. Now the people that are working from home, they're basically paying that offset cost because they're using more of the utilities at home. So yeah.
Spurred on by rosy predictions and lower interest rates, Microsoft, Amazon, Salesforce, Facebook parent Meta, and Google parent Alphabet went on a hiring spree. Meta had about 72,000 employees at the end of 2021, more than 60% higher than 2019. Alphabet had more than 190,000 on staff at the end of 2022.
So basically they started bringing in and hiring all these people as a way for them to boost revenue, because it's like, okay, we have all these people now, we can just have them work from home, and the operating expense of having all these people work from home is actually in our benefit, right? Because we're able to make more revenue because we have more people working for us and handling out our services. So that may be say customer service. Now our customers are getting their issues resolved, and now our customers can feel happy again in our ecosystem that we have them already basically enshrined in. right? And then they can get back to spending their money in our ecosystem, funneling it into our business, into our brand, right?
59% higher than 2019. But after years of unstoppable growth, big tech's pandemic bubble burst, forcing tech companies to trim their rosters.
I want to say.
So at that same time that they made that fast money, or they made that exponential growth, as soon as it bust, they then quickly had to then lay these people off, right? Because essentially, just the market conditions ended up changing, right? It started getting more expensive to borrow money again, and so a lot of these companies, they borrow money as a way to handle their expenses, and one of their expenses that they handle is payroll, right? So it's like, okay, they figure we can borrow this money. Okay, we're borrowing this money for more, at a premium at this point in time with these higher interest rates, or these higher interest rates. So we're borrowing money. It's costing us more to borrow money, and one of the expenses that we have is paying our employees on payroll. So remember what I said earlier in the video, generally what they do is the first area that they cut expenses is in their workforce. And this is where, I don't know if you guys have ever worked a job where say you had a certain amount of employees or co-workers, and then eventually, or then just out of nowhere, a company, matter of fact, I used to work at a car wash. There used to be 6 of us working one shift, or working during the whole day. Our shifts were 6 to, we have people that work from 6 to 2, and then people that work from 1:30 to 9 o'clock, and then we had midday shifts from 10 to 4, something like that, right? And then, so basically we would have say up to 5 people at once, or 5 people working the car wash, right? At the same time. So 5 people, it's 6 or 7 people working the car wash all at once, right? Then eventually the district manager, he came in and said, all right, we need to cut costs. And what they did was they got rid of that midday shift from 10 to 4. They completely got rid of that. And so basically they would only have 3 people working at the car wash at one time, right? So it would be 3 people working from 6 to 2 o'clock in the morning. And then there would be only 3 people operating the wash from 1:30 to 9 o'clock. So there was that time for that 30-minute switch up shift change, right? But we went from having say about 5 to 6 people, about 7 people there at once operating the wash, to just having 3 people there in the morning and in the late end of it. So that was just that was my experience with say a company coming in and cutting costs, basically putting laying people off, and then basically putting more duties and more responsibility on the limited amount of people that are there, and that's how they will offset their costs. And that's essentially the same thing that these tech companies did right here.
Say, up front, that I take full responsibility for this decision. I'm the founder and CEO.
We got Mark Zuckerberg out here trying to, appeal to the public, saying I felt bad for having to lay all these people off, but I felt like it was the best decision for our company, so I can continue to provide services for our consumers of our platform.
I'm responsible for the health of our company.
Yep.
Meta was a company I've always wanted to work at. Dream job, a dream company for sure.
Carl Wheatley, a recruiter for Meta, grew up in the Bay Area and spent 4 years working for the social media giant. Meta laid off more than 11,000 workers.
And see here, that dude they just showed, he was a recruiter. So he was just there his main job was just one of his responsibilities was just getting people to come work there.
Or about 13% of its workforce in November 2022. It announced a few months later it was reducing its headcount by another 10,000 employees.
I was talking to my family about it. They grew up in the Bay Area. They've been through multiple layoffs over the past, and I think for our age group, I would say this is probably one of the, biggest downturns or for layoffs.
Other companies quickly followed suit.
If you want to think about a company that overbuilt during the pandemic, I'd say that Amazon is the number 1 company that overbuilt. Where are the cuts?
Amazon announced in January 2023 that 18,000 workers were being laid off. 2 months later, it said an additional 9,000 positions would be trimmed.
They trying to save money, man. Right? They trying to save, but like the money ain't coming in like it was when they first hired all those people and they were making all that revenue. But as soon as that money, that influx of cash started to change and like started to dwindle a bit, they realized quickly that just as quickly as we hired all these people and we made all this money quickly, well, now the money ain't coming in the same as it was. As a matter of fact, it's coming in less. So now we need to offset this trend or this change in trend, right? Or this change in the market. Now we need to offset this and then go back and basically cut all those jobs that we had basically created. Right, because now the money ain't coming in the same like how it was before.
That same month, Alphabet cut 12,000 jobs, or about 6% of its workforce.
I thought, holy crap, I finally made it. I'm working at probably one of the best companies in the world, and I'm making an amazing salary, and I have longevity. Like, I am good for many, 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 many years.
Paul Baker, a video producer in tech, worked at Google for 6 years.
We all got this.
See, and this guy right here, he thought he was working his dream job and he was going to probably be able to retire there. They were going to sort because he's working his dream job, right? But lo and behold, COVID came around. It just shattered that for everybody, man. Like, it just really makes you question if there's really such a thing as job security. Like, at any moment, your job could be taken away from you, or your job, you could just be laid off, right? Because the company can't afford, or the company can't afford certain expenses. And like I said earlier in the video, normally what they do is the first area that they cut expenses in is in their workforce, right? So it's just like, you know, is there really such a thing as job security? You know, maybe when times are good, when the economy is good and everything is stable, but as soon as some shit hits the fan, man, like, is there really such a thing as job security?
Email early in the morning on January 20th, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I actually froze going, wait, is this for real? I opened my work laptop and it says, no, access denied, like no passwords are working. So I had to look at my personal laptop, which had an email from them stating, hey,
due to changes in business need.
Look at my personal laptop, which had an email from
Dear Paul, due to changes in business needs, Google is having to conduct a reduction in force, including at the facility, if any.
From them stating, hey,
which you work,
you've been officially...
Ah, shit. If any at which you work are expected to commence effective... This is... Fuck. It moves so
laptop,
fast.
which had an email from them stating, hey, you've been officially...
It keeps...
laptop, which had an email from them stating,
if at any of which you work, employee separations resulting from this action are expected to commence effective March 31st, 2023.
Hey.
Based on this, we have to make some difficult decisions about the ongoing employment of Google employees and regret to inform you that, effective immediately, your position is being eliminated.
You've been officially terminated. We're giving you 2 months notice, but like you're cut off, you're banned from
Like, they didn't give you, like, as he said, they didn't give him no notice. This was just all of a sudden one day. Just all of a sudden.
Going to any Google office, you cannot contact anyone, like nothing.
Company leadership was in a far different position. Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai's 2022 compensation, for example, was worth $225 million, about 800 times the pay of the median employee. The company's stock has continued to climb.
But you see, though, like, you can't be mad because he's the CEO. Like, he built this shit. Like, he the reason why all y'all have these jobs in the first place. Now, granted, like, it's messed up that, you know, they had to lay these people off, but it's like, as a CEO, I mean, he's the one that created all these jobs, right? And with it being his company, he's basically the first investor. So it's a reason why he's gonna have, like, all the money that he has. Or why, you know, because he's basically like the heart of the company.
Pichai's 2022 compensation, for example, was worth $225 million, about 800 times the pay of the median employee. The company's stock has continued to climb since the announcement.
It's also too, it's like, man, he handles all these meetings. He talks to all these big investors that come and invest in the company. So I mean, in a sense, like, it's only fair that he, you know, gets a larger, you know, share of the company because he's the one that basically runs all of the behind the scenes shit outside of like the employees. Is like, and that's the reason why like you're so expendable as an employee, because like you're just basically doing the work that you're basically doing the simple stuff. Meanwhile, he's the one that has to travel, or he's traveling like around the country or wherever he's traveling around the world, meeting up with investors to come then invest into the company to then, you know, make more revenue that can possibly be allocated to giving you a raise as an employee, right? So it's a lot of stuff that he does behind the scenes. You know what I mean?
Other companies in the space that made cuts to their workforce include Microsoft, Salesforce, and SAP.
Welcome to the future.
While tech layoffs have been painful, the blow has been cushioned in many cases by generous severance packages. Recently laid off Google employees in the US received 16 weeks of pay, plus 2 weeks for every year of employment. Salesforce employees received a minimum of nearly 5 months of pay.
Okay, so basically, after they laid all these people off, they said, hey, we realize it's kind of messed up what we did, you know, just laying y'all off like that. But to save our brand and our public image in the court of public opinion, hey, we're going to be sure that you guys are fully compensated, or at least given enough money to, you know, stay on your feet as you look for new employment. So generous.
Hey.
So generous.
Stephen Campbell, a software engineer, was laid off from Airtable, a cloud-based project management service, in December 2022.
One night I stayed up especially late and woke up to a bunch of Slack messages saying, are you safe? Are you okay? And I thought, like, was there an earthquake in SF? Like, what's going on? Obviously I'm safe, I feel fine. And as I woke up a little more, I thought, oh no, like, I know what this is. And so I like opened up my work laptop and I got a notification saying, like, your access to this laptop will end in 30 minutes.
With help from his severance package, Campbell co-founded 2 new businesses. Revamp AI uses machine learning and generative AI to get insights into customer data set.
So he, from the money that he was given from basically after the company that he used to work for laid him off, the severance package that they gave him for like, or basically compensating him, you know, he actually took that money and invested it, started other businesses that also then take advantage of AI. So essentially, he took the money, he invested it, and he basically followed the same trend that these big companies are doing. He basically followed that same blueprint. Okay, well, what I know, I'm a software engineer, so I can use my knowledge that I have in this space, say create some things, start a service or product, business, like they just said, and find a way to utilize AI with that, right? So essentially he's copying that same blueprint that these large tech companies, or one that he used to work for, right? He's using that to his benefit, right? Or he basically capitalized on that opportunity.
His other business hosts in-person events to discuss the future of generative AI.
The thing about generative AI in San Francisco right now is that there's similar...
And honestly, that's how you adapt, or that's a way of adapting, right, to what's going on, to what just happened to you. You know, I'm pretty sure some people would be like, oh no, why is me? I got fired, blah, 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 what am I gonna do now? Meanwhile, you know, this guy right here, he used it as an opportunity. Okay, I got laid off. I'm getting this money in as a severance package. Okay, let me go do the same thing that they're doing, right? Let me go copy their blueprint so I can make money as a result of it, right? That's essentially what he did, right? That's one way of going about it. You can use it as an opportunity, or you can just see it as something that's going to break you.
For buzz to crypto, right? There's all these meetups, which I'm fortunate to throw some of them. There's all of this venture investment going into it. I mean, absurd amounts of money is getting funneled into generative AI startups. The difference for me between generative AI and something like crypto is generative AI is solving problems for people today. It's delivering value for people today.
San Francisco has 11 out of 20 of the top AI companies in the US by dollars raised. Collectively, those businesses took in $15.7 billion between 2008 and 2023. Investments in automation and AI at big tech companies could be a contributing factor in recent layoffs. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg told...
Because again, it's like, it's doing things that regular people, or that we as people, like just the efficiency of it, because like I said, a computer can work 24 hours as long as like it has the servers and the energy to do, and the energy being supplied to it to do so. But we as people, as humans, like we gotta rest. Like we can't be up 24 hours a day. Hell, working 8, 12-hour shifts, 14-hour shifts, and all that shit like that. Like eventually, that it catches up with you. So it's just like, you can't compete as a person. You can't compete with the efficiency of technology or the efficiency of artificial intelligence, right? And basically, these companies that they're saying that like this could have been like one of the driving factors into like these mass layoffs, because it's like the need for people's labor, right, is now being put in jeopardy, or like being put is about to be basically put to the back burner because of artificial intelligence. It can do everything you were doing more efficiently, faster, and honestly, it can learn how to enhance and provide better services, right? Because it's continually learning, right? And it's just like you can't compete with that. As a person, how do you compete with that? How do you compete with a machine?
Told employees prior to its third round of layoffs that investments in tools like AI would help engineers write better code faster. And
it ain't AI tools is not going to help them write better codes faster. It's like, if I have this software that can write code faster than you, what's the point of me having you here, right? Enabling us to automate workloads over time or identify obsolete processes that we can phase out. Okay, again, if the tool can do that itself without you being there, what's the point of having you there? What's the point of them having you on payroll? They could just like take care of the machine. Man, listen.
And automate workloads. Flo Crivolo founded Lindy in 2022. The company's AI personal assistant helps automate tasks for workers, like drafting emails, sending calendar invites, and taking notes during meetings.
Something absolutely huge is coming. And I don't think people have quite realized that yet, that everything is about to change. Especially the information economy and knowledge workers.
Everything's about to change. Like you said, like information, how fast information gets to you, and knowledge workers, basically, I guess he's referring to like engineers. Like the industry is really being shaken up by this.
Steve Jobs said that computers were like a bicycle for the mind. I think that AI is like a jumbo jet for the mind. I think it is going to radically change how people work and go about their lives.
Generative AI.
Yeah, it's going to change how people work and go about their lives, but certain jobs, people are just going to be completely put out of because they simply just can't compete, right, with artificial intelligence. So it's like, basically what he's saying is like people going to have to adapt.
AI could add as much as $2.6 to $4.4 trillion to the global economy annually.
I think counterintuitively, it is actually going to result in a net increase in employment in the tech industry. It's a basic fact of economics that when something becomes cheaper, its complement becomes more valuable. Tech workers are a complement to AI. AI makes tech workers a lot more productive. And so when something becomes a lot more productive and a lot more valuable, we want more of it, not less.
But here's the thing. If you could have, say, less people, right, basically take, because he's trying to make, I think he's making it seem, or trying to frame it in a way to where like, oh, if AI is taking off, you're going to want to hire more people, right? But it's just like, if I can hire someone and they can oversee a lot of these projects, and then these projects, when they're set up, they make the work for the person that's overseeing them a lot easier. It's like, how can I, or what sense does it make for me as a company to say have these thousands of workers when, say, I could probably run it could probably operate this sector with half that. Right? So it's just like, I don't know, man. We just gonna have to see what happens.
I don't know if I necessarily would want to say that I don't regret getting laid off sooner, but getting laid off was such an overall positive experience to me. Really, the only downside to it was the initial shock. That was tough to deal with.
Right, you see with him, like, he got laid off, he used it he capitalized on it. He saw it as an opportunity. Like, he took advantage of AI, he started his own companies, and he just copying the blueprint of the company that he used to work for. So with him looking at it from a positive perspective, he was able to capitalize on it and, benefit as a result of it.
I went to Angie and typed in pool, cleaners, garage,
interior painting, exterior painting.
For whatever project you need, there's an option.
Oh, I have another project. Let me try this.
Get started at Angie.com today.
While layoffs are having a big impact on tech companies, the sector is accustomed to periods of growth and contraction.
Tech has always been an industry with very high churn, and that actually comes from both sides. So job seekers have always really valued the flexibility that they have in order to jump from tech company to startup to major company to really grow their career. And at the same time, tech, because it's often at the forefront, has been a subject to big booms and busts.
The bursting of the dot-com bubble 2 decades earlier eliminated more than 1 million jobs. The Great Recession spurred additional cuts. By 2008, Silicon Valley tech companies employed 17% fewer workers than in 2001. But there are a few key differences.
Because with the advancements in technology, you can reduce your workforce because the technology then comes and say can double or triple the amount of output than from having those set workers that you had previously, right? So that's why earlier when I was questioning the guy saying that the more relevant AI becomes, the more you're gonna want to hire people to say start projects. But it's just like, how long would that last for? Especially like when these projects start getting set up, then these companies can then come in and say, well, you know what? We're at a point now where we're pretty efficient. We could probably start looking into say laying off some people and then just adding more responsibilities to less people and then paying, and then the people by reducing our workforce in half, we can then say apply more income to the reduced workforce to incentivize them to take on more tasks. Right? So we lay off half our workforce, the half that's left, we give them pay increases or increase their wages to be incentivized to take on more work.
This time around.
Even
though 2/3 of tech workers are men, more than half of those laid off in 2022 and 2023 were women. According to a study,
here they go, boy. Ooh, yeah. I know generally men are more interested in the tech sector, right? That just follows along with interests of that just follows along with interests. Generally, men are more interested in things. Women are more interested in social connections or people, right? That's why women dominate industries like healthcare, social working, or basically anything that has to deal with like being around people or dealing with people. Whereas men tend to dominate industries that have to do with things. So that could be say construction. You're dealing with bricks or material objects, not necessarily people. You're dealing with material objects. You have co-workers, of course, but you're not catering to the needs of others in a sense, in your face. You're basically just working there doing your job, laying bricks. Engineering, you're in an office, you're on a computer. Not saying that you don't have social interactions, but it's just that compared to actually being in a social setting where your job is strictly just majority of your job is communicating with people, right, or attending to people's needs versus sitting on a computer for majority of your time and then having some social interaction.
Analyzing more than 1,100 LinkedIn profiles, the groups most heavily impacted by layoffs include HR and talent sourcing, software engineers, and marketing employees. Bianca Brown started with Meta in 2019. She was laid off from her job as a program manager in 2023.
I tried to sleep the night before, I couldn't. And then maybe it was around the 8 a.m. mark, I got the email. My heart kind of dropped.
And see, like, she was a program manager. I'm not sure if they mean program as a software program or a program manager as in like, hey, we have these people working on this project right here. Your job is to oversee them, right? That's different from say having to sit at a computer and manage something. She's basically managing people, or at least that's what I'm getting at from what they describe as a program manager for Meta. So like she's overseeing people, she's not overseeing software, right? You know, so it's
you know, I took a deep breath and I was like, okay, you know, this is your new reality. This is something you have to navigate.
The study also found 48% of laid-off employees were between 30 to 40 years old, 89% were based in the US, and the average employee had about 12 years of work experience. And while the number of US tech jobs are projected to slightly lag the longer-term trend, the demand for tech workers should remain high for the foreseeable future. The unemployment rate for tech workers as of May 2023 was 2%, well below the national figure of 3.7%. While tech companies shed a modest 4,700 jobs that month, over the course of the entire year, a significant number of jobs were added in IT services, cloud infrastructure, data processing and hosting, and tech manufacturing. Employment opportunities for software developers is predicted to grow by 26% between 2020.
Okay, so basically they're going to increase their hirings for people that can develop softwares, right? I guess for the use of AI. But then again, you know, my point still stands I made earlier. It's like, okay, when these programs are all set up and they're running efficiently, right? How long will you necessarily have that job before that company then decides to come in and say, well, hey, we're running efficiently now. You know, we have all these programs now. We could just like cut our workforce in half, and then, you know, like I said earlier, pay the half of the workforce, or pay the remaining half of the workforce more money to incentivize them to oversee the projects that we've already built and established, right? So it's just like, how long are these jobs going to last, right? And from a long-term perspective, how long are these jobs going to last, right? Because you saw that from COVID, like that dude that was early in the video, he was working at Google for 6 years. As soon as COVID came, like it was his dream job for 6 years. As soon as COVID came, he got laid off, just like that. You know, 6 years of work, all it took was just one day for you to find out that you just got fired. Like, you know, so it's just like, from a long-term perspective, how long are these jobs gonna be here before these big tech companies then decide, okay, we don't need this large workforce that we've accumulated over the years. Let's start cutting costs, right? You know, so just from a long-term perspective, how long are these jobs gonna last, right? I know people tend to don't think about things like this, but it's just like, man, at some point, man, you gotta have a plan B, you know? Like, the days of like working one job for the rest of your life are kind of like numbered right now because of how fast like things in life and the economy is advancing at this point in time. So instead of thinking of the short term, I think people need to start thinking more like long term, you know, like ahead of the game, like, you know, thinking about investing in everything of the sort, you know, at least that's why my mind is like
2031.
It is a cooler job market for tech workers than it was maybe a year or two ago. But at the same time, a lot of these skills and experiences from the tech sector are still in high demand. Oftentimes, these tech skills and this experience from the tech industry is very valuable in other parts of the economy as well.
Tech workers are also finding jobs in other industries desperate for their skill set, ranging from financial services and manufacturing to the government. Nationwide, tech workers earn on average $87,000 annually, 60% more than the average U.S. salary of $54,000. California tech workers average about $117,000 a year.
They average $117,000 a salary in California, but yet after taxes, you might as well cut that shit in half. So really, $117,000, you nearly cut that in half. That's like about let's see, we're gonna round it up to 120, right? Divide that, that's like 60,000 or like $70,000 after taxes. But people don't think about that either. It's like, yeah, they give you this number, but yeah, you still gotta factor in how much of that is gonna come out in taxes, right? And, you know, California has high tax rates, you know. So instead of trying to live, if you think you're gonna live off $117,000, you're wrong in California. You're really gonna be living off about 60 to 70,000 of that. Because about 40% of that is probably gonna go based off of California's tax rates. From what I researched, they normally have like a 30% tax rate. You know, because depending on how much income you make too, you get taxed different. You're in different tax brackets. So I think this number right here, or this 6-figure income right here, is probably in that 30 to 40% tax range bracket. And so it's like you can't even plan to live on $117,000. You plan to live on $60,000 to $70,000. That's what you plan to live on. Not this number, right? Not this number that's right here. You don't plan to live off of this. You plan to live off of about half that, right?
Year.
That's how
Despite those trends, competition for jobs remains fierce as unemployed workers face a restless job market.
So I've already applied to probably about 165 jobs.
Jesus.
And I've had only 2 interviews, and both were first interviews after the recruiter, and they ghosted me.
Out of 165 job applications he's put in, he only got 2 interviews, and those 2 interviews didn't lead nowhere. That's tough, man. It's a real, bro. That just goes to show you, man, how competitive job markets are, man. Like, it's all a competition, man. Like, sheesh.
Didn't respond to my emails, nothing. So we're also living in a time where people just don't get back to you.
But if you go on LinkedIn, there's so many recruiters and designers, engineers, everyone pretty much looking for jobs, right? There's hundreds or thousands of people applying for the same role. I just tell everyone, kind of put your sales cap on, get a tool where you can find emails, and you kind of have to go out there and kind of find your own job.
Yeah, man, like, the job market is crazy, man. Like, you have thousands of people applying just to get one job. You know, it's just like, and honestly, that's just a result of like the industry just growing so fast or expanding so fast as it is. Like, you have all these people influxing in, and then eventually it gets to a point where it's oversaturated, right? So it's just like, you know, like that dude early in the video who took it as his layoff as an opportunity, right? He started doing his own thing or finding ways to like leverage the skill sets that he already has, started a business with it, started companies with it, and now he's, you know, benefiting from that as a result of it. So it's just like, you know, you're gonna have to start getting creative. Like, people are gonna have to start like putting like their entrepreneurial caps on, man, and like thinking outside the box of like ways they can generate income. But that'll do it for this video right here. I'm not sure how long we went over in time. Let me see. Oh, okay, 48 minutes. That's a little less than the other video I did, but yeah, man. With that being said, y'all, man, if you stayed this long to watch the video and listen to my commentary, I appreciate you. Yeah, man, like, y'all go ahead and like the video, also subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. Yeah, man, I really love these videos, man. I love doing these videos. I want to, you know, do content that, you know, say sparks a conversation. If I'm wrong on some things, feel free to tell me I'm wrong. If I'm right, you can agree with me. You know, I really don't care. I just like having conversations and being open up to new ideas and opinions, man. So, yeah, like I said, hit that subscribe button, like the video, turn on the notification bell so you're notified whenever I drop another video. And yeah, we're just gonna get into it, man. Y'all have a good one.